previously with the value of enterprise centres and development of workspaces. There are grant schemes available to help develop such centres, but it's not adequate, particularly for the local authorities that have a very low rate space. So I would appeal to you again, Minister, to ensure that there's an additional scheme of assistance to help those local authorities and community groups in areas such as Cavan-Monaghan and elsewhere where there has been less economic development historically and where we have the potential to develop new businesses and grow employment. Thank you, Cathaoirligh.
I propose to take questions 71 and 76 together. Balanced regional enterprise development remains a key focus for me and for this government, as affirmed in the White Paper on Enterprise. I very much appreciate the contribution made by enterprise and remote working hubs across the country. These facilities allow people to live and to work in their local communities and to provide vital services to support entrepreneurs, startups and SMEs. We've invested significantly in the development of these facilities and we are committed to further support for the sector. The Department of Rural and Community Development has invested over €150 million in the development of remote working facilities through programmes such as Connected Hubs, the Town and Village Renewal Scheme and Rural Regeneration and Development Fund. Successful projects are developed in collaboration with local authorities and communities, with many vacant and derelict buildings being converted into remote working hubs. My department and the Department of Rural and Community Development are working together to develop the first strategy for a national hub network, and that's following consultation with key stakeholders. I expect the draft strategy to be brought to government in the coming months. Since 2017, my department has allocated over €150 million to support enterprise centres and hubs across the country through Enterprise Ireland schemes such as the Regional Enterprise Development Fund and the Border Enterprise Development Fund, which I'm sure is of use to you in your communities. Enterprise hubs are essential infrastructure for entrepreneurs and SMEs, and they're an integral part of the enterprise ecosystem across the country, and that's why my department has secured up to €145 million for the Smart Regions Enterprise Innovation Scheme, which is co-funded under the European Regional Development Fund. That scheme includes 4 streams, ranging from delivery of major local enterprise infrastructure such as building enterprise hubs, to funding for services delivered to SMEs to drive innovation and enhance their competitiveness. The Smart Regions scheme is open for business and Enterprise Ireland is ready to work with potential applicants, and that's a really important message to get across in your constituency, Deputy. While they are independent, government will of course work collaboratively with the local authorities to deliver innovative projects. The local authorities have supported many of the enterprise hubs delivered to date as project partners or through direct funding contributions. Smart Regions projects are based on the Triple Helix partnership model, and that means that it's developed in collaboration with industry, with academia and with the public sector. Any co-financing rates are based on a multitude of factors, but primarily they are constrained by state aid restrictions and the partnership model required for the development of these projects nationally. I anticipate an announcement of initial projects funded under the Smart Regions scheme in the coming weeks, and I hope that there will be good news for many organisations across the country. There are no plans to introduce another regional enterprise development scheme while the Smart Regions are in place, but I expect funding of enterprise hubs to be kept under review as we consider future approaches to regional enterprise development.
Yeah, thank you, Cathaoirligh. Thank you, Minister, for a reply. Minister, the point that I've been trying to get across to successive ministers in your department is that you take the case of Cavan and Monaghan, where we have a great culture of developing enterprise centres. Typically, the local authority or community group buys a site, develops the services at major cost because of the topography and the drumlin soil that we have, and the drumlin topography. They can get grant aid then towards the provision of the actual workspace or enterprise centre. The cost of buying the site, the cost of providing the services on the site, there is no national assistance available towards such costs. In local authorities like Cavan and Monaghan, where we have a very low rate space, it's a huge demand on the local authorities to continue to develop such centres. And I would appeal to the ministers, and Minister Derek Killeary was with me when he met Cavan County Council, and they outlined, and Monaghan County Council, very clearly the particular assistance that they need to buy sites, to provide services, and then avail as well of the grant aid towards the provision of the actual workspace. So, Minister, I'd appreciate if you could give that further consideration.
Thank you, Deputy, and absolutely we will. I appreciate what you're saying, that up until now it's been the Cavan Local Authority or the Monaghan Local Authority who has been buying sites and developing those services. But I suppose just to reiterate that now that we have the Smart Regions scheme there, it is there to support both that dynamic of industry, of academia and of enterprise. And that stream one of that is designed to support the major local investment and capital investment projects. So it is something worth looking at, particularly if, for example, there may be IDA land in your area or something like that, where a partnership could potentially be done through Enterprise Ireland. I suppose that the enterprise hubs are very much an Enterprise Ireland initiative, whereas the workspaces, and I know that there has been very many remote working hubs in your constituency, are something that my colleague Minister Heather Humphreys has provided funding for from a Department of Rural Community Development perspective.
And thank you, Minister. Minister, I'm specifically talking in this case, and I welcome the development of hubs, but I'm talking about centres and workspace for manufacturing and processing. We've had a tradition of great engineering in Cavan and Monaghan. I have worked along with companies that started with 2 or 3 employees in an enterprise space. Now they are huge employers, having developed their own space. But we need the space to enable processors and manufacturers start their businesses. There's those opportunities there to create jobs in our towns and villages. And at the same time, we have people who have developed a business literally in their back garden, in their back garage, and they want to go to proper workspace. So there is a vacuum there in relation, or a lacuna, in relation to the type of development I would like to see advanced. Thank you, Cian Corla.
Minister.
Thank you very much, Deputy. I hear what you're saying, and absolutely we need to do more in this region, in this area. I suppose just to say that part of the Smart Regions Enterprise Innovation Scheme also looks at clustering, and perhaps that's something that might be relevant to you in your constituency of Cavan and Monaghan, if there is, for example, manufacturing companies that you feel could really benefit from that. I hear what you're saying in terms of we need the availability of land, we need the grants there and the financial supports there for local authorities or whomever else to be able to develop them, to turn them into active spaces for growing enterprises. And thank you for that feedback. It is something we will look at.